Well, let's see. This Grand Design Solitude. Let's see what we got. I'm trying to see what year this thing is. Looks like it's all wore out. Can't remember what year it is. What does it say? 2017? That's what it says. Somewhere right there. I think it's 2017. So, we're going to go up there and take a look at it. See how bad she is. Alright, let's see what we got here. Your typical slobber moron. We're going to see if we can... I don't know if I can get a gutter in here. I'd like to see if I can get a gutter in there. Sometimes, like that marker light, those three look like they're a little lower than this one. I'm not sure, but we're going to check it. If that's the case, we're going to see if we drop that down just a skosh to be able to put a gutter on there. I'd like to put a gutter on it so when that water comes down, it's not running down the side of the, the back side of this coach. So that's kind of the idea. Let's see if it transpires. So as you get up here, I mean, this is your typical RV roof. And, look at this roof membrane. There's really nothing wrong with it, The actual membrane is fine. So they brought this. This is actually a customer of ours. We already did one before, and they sold it. So they wanted to get a bigger one. But we already did theirs a while back. So again, they just don't want to they want to make sure they don't have any roof issues, hence why it's here. I don't think there's any major damage or any breaching in here, but we're still going to do the same routine, pull up all the decking and everything else. But what I'm pointing out is that the membrane in itself looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. So where you tend to have your issues are going to be on the air conditioner. You're going to have them on the vents. Those are transitions. You're going to have areas like that that'll be give you the grief, where you always have to put that self-leveling on. So when you see all these other companies just putting on these spray and roll-on roofs, there's nothing wrong with the membrane as a rule. The membrane is, again, it's usually pretty good. What they're doing is just trying to say, hey, you don't have to put any self-leveling around the vents. You don't have to do any of that. But the other thing they're not doing is they're not addressing this air conditioner. And you can just see right here already, you can see all the dirt and everything right up underneath the air conditioner right here. And that's going to affect that gasket. So what happens is all that dirt, pollen, debris, it'll dry that gasket out, and that gasket will eventually fail. So if you're going to do it, let's do it right. Put them up on curbs. That's the way a flat roof is designed. But, a lot of those places are out to sell product. And I'm just telling you, if it was worth it like that, I'd be doing them that way. It doesn't function that way. It's not that hard to just throw the roof down, put the AC back the way it was. Throw the roof down, put the vent back, with some butyl under it and all that stuff. That's not that hard to do. I mean, it really isn't. When you actually take the time to build a curb and actually do the steps that you need, that takes a little bit of time. That stuff is called detail. But, again, they just want to sell products, so they're going to do what they need to do or do what they can do just to get it out. A lot of the times you'll see when they do this, these spray or roll-on roofs, they don't even take the membrane up. And this membrane is really not glued down all that well, but what they'll do is cut around your AC. You'll see them cut around. Oh, there is some damage right here. So you'll see them cut around your vent. You'll see them cut around the skylight and everything. And then they throw a primer on there. And the primer is basically so there's no moisture that'll get kind of absorbed. Polyurea is what they spray it with, and that is kind of a fickle animal with moisture. Moisture and polyurea are not friends at all. So you get some moisture blended into it, it's not going to fare well. But all that said, that's why they do it that way, and they just leave the membrane on there, which is kind of odd, because they're claiming the membrane's the issue. And it's not glued down that well, so why wouldn't they just peel it up? But anyhow, that's my thought. That's why we're going to rip it all up. So I'm just giving you all information. You all can use it, save it, toss it, whatever. You can see all this debris right here. So I want to make sure that when we do the roof, we're done with the roof. We don't have to mess with it anymore. So I've said this before in a lot of other videos, I am not an RV guide by trade. By trade, I'm a licensed general contractor. And we did all our own work. We did all our own foundations. We did our own framing. We did our own roof systems, stucco systems, siding, all sorts of siding systems, all sorts of roof systems. We did it all ourselves. So I know how these things are compatible. I even had these spray recovery machines that would pretty much do like our building right here. And we do flat roofs, you know, we had those. We had standing seam metal machines. They rolled out for those fancy banks. So if the product was worth it to just spray over this, I would just buy the machine and do it. But I don't feel like I'm actually doing the customer any service because there's always underlying issues underneath the roof deck. We'll see what we got on this one. I know we've done a couple in the past. There weren't as many. And that's awesome. But as a rule, there's a lot. So this is a fake vent right here. That's what that is. So, see if you can see my drawing right here. We're going to call this a louver vent. A louver vent. This would be a ridge vent. We'll say this is an A structure. We'll say it's your house. Hopefully your house is better than all this squirreliness. Alright, so you got a gutter right here. I think I'm actually doing pretty good considering I'm not left-handed. Alright, so this is a structure of a house, and you have your soffit right here, and there's going to be a soffit vent that's going to come up, and the air is going to either go through this louver or it'll go up through your ridge vent up here, right? That's how it'll work, if it's a louver or up through the ridge vent like this. So these are soffit vents. These are what's called lower draws. So if you just have these vents up here, you know, we'll say you have a ridge vent, usually you're not going to have both the louvers and the ridge, one or the other. But you'll say you have these up here, but you don't have them down here. That's not gonna draw. It's not gonna vent. And everybody says, well, heat rises. It's not gonna work. The principles of thermogenics, it needs to have a lower draw to pull. So that's what that is. They're calling that a vent. I don't think it's really a vent. It must be like an access hole or panel or whatever, but it can't possibly vent. So I just tell people that. But if you really want to believe that the RV industry vented your roof, there's no lower draw on the side. Where's it getting its air? It also needs a cavity in there for it. So, and that little vent isn't going to be enough to vent this whole thing if you want to call it a vent. But ironically, if you break it, the cap off, and you had to replace it, and you went to buy it, it would be called a vent. So, anyhow, that's the BS on the fake vent. But so, same thing with these skylights here. You got a crack in these skylights. So, you know, these are the stuff we look for when they come back for inspection, but you can see all that cracking. So this, I mean, this self-leveling doesn't work. We've done videos on the actual composition that's in these, and the material that's in them is really not good for the roof, and that's why you see it bubbling up a lot. And then it'll start settling down, but that's what's called gassing off. There are products in there like petroleum distillate specifically that are in there that cause it to actually bubble up and it will disintegrate the membrane. One of them is called heptane, and if you see heptane in the product, or if it's got all these warnings of flammability, you know, don't smoke around and all that stuff, like Dicor says don't smoke around, in proper ventilation, wear all this protective gear, a NASA suit and all this other stuff. Well, if it's that bad, it probably shouldn't be on your membrane, because it'll disintegrate the product. There's another couple of them out there that say that, again, with heptane. Can't remember the actual name of the product, but we've done videos on them. And but anyhow, that's information. If folks want to keep going on and putting more on, have at it, I guess. But after a while, you just kind of look and go, why do I have to keep doing that? So you can see the same thing up underneath this air conditioner. We got some dirt and debris up underneath there. Well, obviously, when we get these off, we'll take a look at the ACs and I'll show you what's going on with them. And, you know, looks like someone's tried to do-daub around here, some more cracking on here. So, anyhow, that's the product. That's the grand design. But again, the actual roofing material is fine outside of the shoulder area. And, you know, it's these penetrations. So when you put the curbs on there, if we heat weld them, you're done. You don't have to mess with it. I've noticed right here, there's no caulking on here, on this side. Look how rusty these screws are. See, all this mildew gets in there from the insert trim that they use. And you can see it all right here, actually. Did it get you a piece? This is the kind that just snaps in. And when it snaps in there, then water can still get into that track. And that's what's happening. You get all that moisture still in there. But it looks to me like most of these screws are all rusted out. Which tells me if it's rusted out, then obviously You know, if the shank is rusty, then the butyl that they claim does an awesome job, and you're going to put it on there, then the shank wouldn't be rusty, because that butyl, you know, by theory, right, would be sealing up the shank of the screw. So we're going to pull some out, and we'll find. Let's see. Here's a couple down here. See, they're already rusty. But if the butyl was wrapped around that, then the moisture couldn't get in there. May have a rusty head, but you wouldn't have a rusty shank. Rusty shank means that water is penetrated through that, you know, that opening through the screw. That's what it means. So butyl does not work. That's why we don't use it. Good? No. Trying to show how rusty these screws are.
Those down there were really bad.
Yeah, everything works. Let's see if there's any butyl behind it. Well, yeah, there. No butyl. Nothing. There's nothing on it. Nothing at all. See? Nothing. No butyl. I didn't do anything. And I barely got some caulking on here. So, yep. That's the fine quality of a 2017 Grand Design. So, once we get it all apart, we'll figure out what else is going on. Still debris right there. So that's what's going to ruin your gasket. I don't know if this thing's leaked. It doesn't seem like it. Sounded pretty solid. That's solid. Yeah, that's solid. But this is why they will leak. See, you got a joint. These are 4 pieces glued together. And on here you can see this one isn't so bad. This one may have been replaced. It may have been replaced, but that's not. I mean, I've seen some really destroyed. So this one is not that bad. But they do make ones. If you go to replace them, they do make ones that are solid piece. I don't know what all this rusting is for, but I mean, it's still not going to last forever. That's for sure. So, all right, onward and upward. All right, she is naked. We got a naked roof. So once we open this up, you know the routine. What do we look for? Say it with me. Detached or not well taped ducts. So we got one there. And we're going to add some support in the back here. So the reason I do that is this thing, it's not bad. It's better than some of the other ones. But going down the road, it'll bounce. And when it bounces, this joint will break. I'm going to put some stock in here so I can put my gutter on here. We're going to do that. We had this little section right here that was just rotted on the, that's why you're seeing all this, the decking was. So now the insulation is just getting all stuccofied. I think that's a word, stuccofied. Alright, so we use some high dollar tape and we're going to retape everything. And you can see how this hot mess going on right here. See how it's not tight? That affects the efficiency of your air conditioner. So we're going to make sure we get all that taped up. Get that taped up. There's a couple of ones up here. This isn't the worst by no means. But there's still a couple here that were a pretty good concern. This one's coming apart. So eventually it's going to keep coming apart. So as you look over here, you say, hey, that doesn't look so bad. If you look at this one, see? But yeah, it looks like it's down that corner. So that's why we're going to retape everything. We want to make sure. They just use the cheap stuff. That's all it is. It's just foam. It's just foam. They fold it, and then what you're seeing on the edge, like over there, on this top corner edge, that's just tape. You just tape it all up. It's cheap. So this one here, that one needs to be done. We're going to do them all anyways. That's just what we do. So then I guess somebody wanted to duct tape all this. It must have had a leak. I've never seen this before, but this is real creative. So what they did is they used Gorilla Tape here, and then if you've always tried to figure where you could stow those Walmart bags, you can shove them up inside here. I guess they make good insulation. Well, that's what those are. Walmart bags. And then they just put Gorilla Tape over it. So that's creative right there. You can see that one. That's a good size one right there. So then we check for all the wires that are going across, because this is a foam, I can't reach them, too short, but it'll actually start gouging in there. Then I also want to check to see where those wires are going. So some wires will come down through here, and I've showed it. They go through what's called a ferrule, and that's what I'm looking for. But this isn't one. This is just a regular 12 volt going down into there, into the. It's a chase wall in there, I'm sure, because that's what they call a chase wall, because you chase wires, you chase plumbing up through it. It's just an open wall, right? So they call it chase wall because there's things in it. You're always, again, chasing things. So let's go around this way. We still got a couple pieces to do. They had all this reflective stuff on here. This is worthless. So some people think it's great. So you can go on and take a look at it yourself. But I've shown this on other videos as well. When you have this on here like this, you got the decking down there. The way this reflects UV light, you have to have about a 3-inch cavity, almost a 3-inch cavity, for this to be effective. And if you look at some products like Solar Board, LT Tech makes another one. The technical term is radiant barrier sheathing. So if you look at those, you'll see the installation on it. So this really is just ineffective, but it's just another thing for the RV industry to just, I'm surprised they put it on because it's really ineffective. It's just extra money for them and to put it on. But it doesn't do anything, so we're just omitting it. And then our membrane is going to be a lot better reflectivity than all the other ones because it's commercial. So we're going to, right up inside here, we're going to put some insulation in there. It'll just be some blown in insulation. See this other one over here? See how it's falling apart? That's what I'm trying to show you. So they just want, this isn't as bad as some of the other ones I've seen. Some of the other ones have been really rough. That's for sure. But these ones, this one here isn't the worst one I've ever seen at all. You know, same thing you can see now we're on the opposite side. And that's all we're doing. We're just checking everything out. Got another broken joint on here, right here. So, and again, looking for these wires. Let's see if I can reach this one. This one isn't really heavy enough to dig into it, but the other ones, the whole stack that runs over there, I've seen those from time to time that really dig in. All right. What are we doing? Having a conference? All right. Morning conference. So that's what we're looking for. I think we are good. Let's tape it up. And then we get some decking on it. Well, we'll put the insulation back in. The insulation isn't also bad. But like I said, we're just going to add a little bit more in there. That's all. Just so it's got some good, holds that air in there pretty well. So it blows down. All right, awesome. Let's get to work. So now that we got everything all squared away, all the ducts have been all taped up, everything's all done. We've got, put that stock in here, put this piece in so we could get the gutter. And then what we did is put some more of this blown in insulation. We kind of tucked it up underneath the ductwork, so we got all that. And then once we put the air unit on and everything, we're going to tape all that up in the box, get all that a lot tighter. So all the other duct line and everything has all been done. So now all we got to do is just really just glue down the decking. So we got the glue ready and we got the compressor going, and we're going to get in here. So we just kind of put some in there. So we'll get some more right here. We'll put a little in here as we go along. We'll fill it in. Sometimes that stuff just blow out with the air gun. So you definitely want to have these glued down. So what happens is these things are built so poorly, and a lot of people have this misconception that they are supposed to rack. They do rack because there's just not a lot of strength in them, so they will rack a little bit back and forth, and they obviously can rack from front to rear. You want to glue these down, so the energy that happens from all that racking's got to go somewhere, and if you don't stifle it, it's going to go into the framing. That's, you know, Newton's law of physics. It's going to go somewhere. Don't think it's just going to go away. It has to go somewhere. Something's going to absorb it. So we want to stifle it as much as we can. And when we glue this down, now all the adhesive that we use is going to absorb that energy, so it's not going to the fasteners. It's not loosening up those fasteners, okay, or compromising the sheathing. That's why I don't like OSB. If you put a screw in OSB and kind of wiggle it around a little bit, you can waller it out real quick. I just don't like OSB at all. So we're going to get all that, and then once we get all that together, we'll fill in that little frame like we normally do, and we'll pull it all together. So there's our plywood sitting up on the fork truck, so we're going to get ready and get going. Once we got all the decking down, then what we did is we put some shoulders on here. We fabricate these up. They're just corners. The way the industry does is they just put tape on there, and that doesn't fare well. So the purpose of this is to prevent, when the roofing comes over, from the siding to irritating the membrane. So this side over here, the driver's side's already glued down. You can see all the glue, all that amber looking, that's the glue. We got it on both sides. The industry doesn't generally put glue on both sides. They generally just do the deck. And the problem with that is, that's why you see them kind of poof up. As you're driving down the street, you may see one coming the other way or whatever. You'll see the roofing looking like it's lifting up. It's because they don't want to spend the money or the time to actually do the job properly. We also put these strips in here. These are twofold. You know, I put them down mainly to kind of balance out the roof system. You know, even though they make all these trusses, you always get these little inconsistencies. So once we put the decking on, we sanded it down and make sure the joint was smooth, at least on the same plane, you know, that they were all even. Then we just put that strip across. It just helps keep things tight. It looks clean. And not only do we want it to function well, we want it to look well. So we're going to roll it over, and then we can start getting our curbs and everything else in here. So we got the air conditioners outside, and we're going to clean them out. This is real easy. So there's the cover. Take those 4 screws out. These are number 3. That's the tip. It's a number 3 Phillips. So you can tell right here, look at this here. I'm trying to look through the camera. It's got the sun in my eyes here. But you can tell somebody's been using a number 2 because it's kind of boogered up. You strip these out, you're not going to get them out. Then you're going to have to drill it out and use the right size tip. It's a number 3, or you can use a number 2 square drive. Do not use a number 2 Phillips. You'll just strip it like that. So don't do that. Once you get the cover off, this is what you got. So all of these screws around here come out, and this side panel drops off, and then this comes out. Okay? So that's how easy it is. So we're going to get all that out of the way. And this is, you're going to have, when you go to take this out of your coach, as you're looking up in the ceiling, you're going to see your control panel. So the control panel, once you take that plate off, there's a couple of screws, maybe a hidden tab that covers the screw. You pop those out, and then drop that down, and then you're going to see a plate. There'll be a metal plate up against the ceiling. There's most of them. Some of them will have bolts that'll go like right through here into the roof, from the roof, right? You're on the roof side. Some will. But as a rule, most of them are going to be, if you have that control box or filter box in your ceiling, this is going to be the way it is. The bolts are going to be right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that plate is up against the ceiling, and then the air conditioner is here, and when you tighten it up, it squeezes down. That's called a compression fitting. Here's the gasket. This gasket's in really good shape. So, like, it looks like it's pretty new. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not even disfigured at all. So that's awesome. So then we're going to be looking at these little ports right here. That's where the air conditioner drains. And they're kind of small. I may just open them up just a wee bit. So essentially, this is the way your air conditioner... All right, so now you're already... I'll back up a little bit. You got all the plate off. You're going to see a plug like this. You can't mess it up. It can only go in one way. See the shape? It can only go in one way, and it's got these clips on the side. So you pop that out. Then you're going to see a little wire that comes up here. That's a thermistor, and basically it's a freeze-thaw sensor. It says, basically sends a signal saying what's going on with the air conditioner temperature-wise, and it can shut it down. Sometimes if your AC doesn't want to work, sometimes if they go bad, then they shut the circuit down and it won't run. So, but it just sticks right in there. If you've got some of this here that's all kind of squirreled up, you can use a wire brush, but you're going easy. And I've tried to show this before, and I've had some comments. People say, "Don't ever use a wire brush." All you gotta do is drag it nice and easy. You're just trying to get them nice and, you know, as you can, smooth like this. This isn't bad at all. If you see one all dented up, they do make combs, but you don't really need a comb. You can just do it with a wire brush, nice and easy. And then you're gonna see how this is. You can try and get these back. So what's going on is these are what help cool it. Okay. This is an important part of the process. There's one of the condenser, okay? The fins that are on here. So your air, you put your air conditioner on, You have your filter box. Here's your filter down here in that little cover that I was explaining on the ceiling. It pulls the air up through here. So when it pulls the air up through here, this is going to be cold. So the compressor is going to make this cold right here. And then what it does is it pushes it back. Well, I'd have to take this off, but there's another hole under here. Let's see if I can show you this way. See right there? That's where your cold air is coming in. So it comes up here, up through here, goes through the evaporator, and comes out here. So you need to have this kind of isolated as well. You don't want these two mixing. So if you put your plate back and you can see that these two are kind of mixing, meaning like there's nothing there to separate them, you need to separate that. But that's basically how the air conditioner works. It's pretty simple. So in that sense. But if these are all dirty, you can have some issues with this where it's not going to run right. You're going to end up probably getting it to freeze up. You want to clean them. And it's really easy. This is what I'm showing you. So some techs, they're going to come up on your roof. I recommend you go get a mat, like a welcome mat or something, that you can literally take this off and move it somewhere else on your roof so you can wash it and not get water obviously back down in the hole, of course. But you want to be able to do it so you don't get any of these sharp corners or anything jagged into your roof. So then you can set it aside and you can wash it properly. That's what I'd recommend, because if you can get that like that, then you can do a better job cleaning this thing, and you can check the gasket. So a lot of these roll-on roof companies, spray-on roof companies, all these people that these companies that are putting these on, and what they're doing is they're putting this back down on the roof, just like that. That's not the right way to do a roof system. That's why we build curbs. This is you'll never see this anywhere except for on an RV. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to them because it's cheap, quick, and easy. So now here comes this roll-on company. Here comes a spray-on company, and I've done videos on this. They're going to spray all around, and then what they're going to do is put it right back down. So when this gasket fails, and eventually it will, when it fails, then you're going to get leaks in there. When you get leaks in there, it's going to start rotting out your roof deck. It's going to start getting into your insulation, so on and so forth. So what can cause these things to fail, or what will cause them to fail, not can, but will, is all the dirt, the debris, the pollen will come on down and keep sitting here, and it'll rest here, and it dries these out. So when you get those type of roof systems done, read the warranty. Just read it, and you'll see there's a disclaimer in there that says you need to watch this gasket. You need to inspect that gasket. You need to replace that gasket. Now, I really doubt there's a few of you out here that know how. A vast majority don't know anything about the gasket. So why are they bouncing that responsibility back on you when you don't know anything about this, right? That's not fair. I don't think it's fair, but that's what they do. But this is an important part to say, hey, whether you're going to have a leak or not, right? So especially if you have some roofs, and you can see the shadow in here, some roofs will come up and then they'll balance out and then they come down like a reflection. Solitude. This Grand Design is like that too. What's this? A Solitude. So it has a slope to the back where this air conditioner is, so all that water is coming down, slamming on the back of this AC, right here into this gasket. Which again, now you're washing down leaves, you're washing down pollen, you're washing down all sorts of, whatever, bark, everything, right? And it's going to dry this out. Then you have a leak. So all they're doing is selling product, and I've said that before. If you watch my videos, some people think, oh, I'm just saying it because, and I know I sound like Chicken Little saying the sky is falling. Because all these years the industry has been fleecing you. They've been fleecing you because that's this way they get it out the door quicker. They get it out the door. Bam, put that on, no problem. But my background isn't RVs. I'm a commercial general contractor. I've done that for years. When I sold my company, I kind of fell into these things because somebody asked me, oh, you did flat roofs, can you work on my camper? And when I saw what was going on, I redesigned the whole thing and put a new roof on. Here comes another one, here comes another one, here comes another one. All right, so that's how I got into the RV trade. And I see all the stuff they do is wrong. They just want to push these out. But all these techs and all these shops, they're all doing the same thing. They're all complicit in doing exactly what the manufacturer did, which was wrong. And basically what they're doing is just staying in your wallet. I want to do these things once. I don't want to mess with them again. I don't think y'all want to mess with them again. You only want to step foot on your roof. I'm sure you get up there to wash it maybe, but you don't know anything about certain caulkings and what's a failure and different blends of caulkings and so forth. Some people don't know the difference between a clear tripolymer and silicone. They don't know the difference between all those products. So, you know, those are things that I think are unfair to bounce back to a customer who doesn't know it, and that's why we go the extra mile to do all this. So I'm going to show you how to clean this. Here comes the tech. He's going to leave this where it is, and what he's going to do, this kind of really, again, another pet peeve of mine, I guess. He's going to come up here, he's going to spray some stuff on there, some cleaner, and he's going to spray that on there, and it's going to be what they call no rinse. Don't have to do nothing to it, he says, right? Boom. Okay. And then he's going to charge you probably a service call, probably to clean that. He may come out and charge you, I don't know, maybe $300 by the time you're all said and done to just clean your air conditioner. All right. So where do you think all this is going to go? This, the way this works, so now here comes, you know, the warm air is coming up. This is cold, and then it's getting pulled through so it can blow cold air back down. So you're going to get condensation. This is your tray right here. This is what it's sitting in right here, this plastic piece. That's a plastic tray. Those ports that I showed you up underneath here, that's where it drains. So when you see all that water coming from the AC, that's what it is. It's the condensation. So you get up here and you just spray this down, spray it all down with that no rinse. Well, this is going to go somewhere. It's going to go down in here. When it gets down in there, do you see how small those portholes are? Look how small those are. You don't think that dust or a bug or something can get in there and clog that? Of course. Of course. So now, cleans it all up. Thank you, ma'am, sir, whatever. Here you go. You give them $300. And then you start using it for a while. You go, hey, man, I get some water coming in. Where's the water coming? I got a leak somewhere. Now you call that AC tech back, right? What does he say? Oh, yeah, you see the problem. Your tray got clogged up. I had to clean that out. That'll be another $300. So basically, he just scammed you into doing a clean out when you didn't do it thoroughly in the first place. So it's kind of like going to get your tires done, and you get a new tire put on there because you need one, or maybe even need it patched, whatever. And then they don't rebalance it, so the tire wears out. Now you go back and you go, oh man, that tire wore out. Yeah, because he didn't rebalance it. So same thing, he's not doing a complete job. This is the whole fleecing idea of the RV industry. They always want to stay in your daggone pocket. Gee whiz, you can't shake it loose. So I'm going to just show you an easy way to clean these. It's real easy. You can do it yourself. Like I said, once you take all that bolts out, it's not that hard. So you can't really mess anything up electrically. It's right here. So once you pop that loose, again, there are the bolts, right? You set it on the roof, out of your way. Now you're just going to come up here, and all I'm going to do is spray it down with some cleaner. You can use foam and bubbles. You can use, this here is your simple green. You're just trying to clean it. It's that simple. It's, you know, maybe a little harder to get back to this condenser in the back, but this is all I'm doing. I'm going to soak that down real good. And the other thing I'm going to do is get that piece of foam out of there. It just pops out. So I got to repump this. But so I'm going to soak it down, and then I'm going to take a brush. That's it. I'm going to take a brush. Let's see where my brush is. I'm going to do the same to the back of that condenser. Right here. And I'm just going to wipe it down. And I'm going to take this hose right here that I got sitting there. I'm going to take that hose, and I'm going to flush it so it's nice and clean. And that's why I want to get this out, because I want to see the water coming through the other side. And then I'm going to try and reach in and blow it back the other way. And I'm going to make sure that tray is clean. So I got another brush if I can reach down in there with it. And this just a little brush. All I do is just put a couple screws in it, because I want to be able to reach down inside there if I can get in there with this. Some are tighter than others, but that's the goal. But I really want to clean it out. So that's how easy it is. So let me pump this up and get it cleaned up, and you know, kind of working alone here. So I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so I was able to get that out. You just got to kind of finagle it around there. It'll come out, and then you can move this evaporator out just ever so slightly, because you don't want to break any lines. These are your lines right here. So you just want to kind of encourage. That's the word we're going to use, encourage. You can see the tray. See all that crap in the tray? That's what I want to get. That's why I got that little brush. So we're going to clean that out. So all I did, I'm just soaking this down, just like this. Now that I get that foam out of the way, I'm going to reach back here. I'm going to get that little bit of foam that got on the fan. I'll get that out of there so don't clog nothing up. We're just soaking this down. You can see some of this, see this scum that I'm talking about right there? That's a perfect example. See how it's already plugging up that hole? Look. Yep. See that booger? Look at there. That's all it takes. So now that guy, that tech did that, no rinse, clogged. That makes a big difference because it'll fill up. When the tray fills up, this fan is spinning. When the fan is spinning to blow the cold air in, it's pulling the water and it's throwing it right back into your coach. So now you take the brush, and what you're trying to do here is some of that scum just tends to stick to the bottom. We don't want it. Let's get rid of it all, because then that scum will cause other stuff to stick and it just builds up. So that's how we're going to do. I just moved it, and I kind of twisted the brush to get up underneath over here because there isn't a lot of room down there, and I don't want to aggravate that piece right here, this Freon line. So that's it. So we get all that, and then what we're going to do is just open that hole up right there. I'm going to open that up just a little bit. But you don't need to go crazy. You just want to have a little better than what they give you. You know, they design these things on purpose to fail. Everything fails. You know, so why do they have a sealed system? Yeah, they pinched it off. They could have put a charge plug on there when they did this, and it would have been just as easy so someone could service it. But they don't want to do that. They want you to buy a new unit. So I'm just going to walk this forward a little bit. And then I haven't cleaned the back coil yet. Just nice and easy. Then all I'm going to do, I'm just going to come in here. See, that's because of my tray, the way it's lined up. I got to just reset it. That's all I'm going to do. Just a little bit. That's about all. I got to do the same to this. I got to set that tray back in place. And that's how easy it is to do this. So you don't have to spend all that money. You can do a much better job on what a tech's going to charge you. Look at all the scum that got in here. All this is what blows back into your camper. All that. So this is all the stuff that, you know, when you have that no rinse, it's not cleaning all this stuff. So just do the job right the first time. You know, and it's just going to tuck down over here. So if you do see some foam coming down, you may have a bad bearing. So if you have a bad bearing on this thing and it starts wobbling, then it could chew this a little bit, right? See the opening? It could start chafing this here, which is throwing some foam back in. So you may want to check that, you know. But other than that, then you obviously want to spin it, and you're just listening. You want to hear if there's any grinding, or you shouldn't hear anything at all. Like, it should be going smooth, just like this. So that'll tell you what's up with that. Now on the other side, these are your capacitors right here, and then you got a compressor capacitor and a fan capacitor. So sometimes if the fan don't kick on, you won't get anything. You'll hear the air conditioner trying to struggle. So I'm not a tech. I just learn a little bit here and there, enough to probably just diagnose it a little bit. But you know, again, I wouldn't say that I'm a tech at all, but I'll admit that some of the stuff that I've been learning I got from the National RV Training Academy. They've got a promo going on, and I highly recommend anybody with a camper to get that program. Go to their website, nrvta, I believe it's .com, or online, rvtechcourse.com. But the promo code is Friday50. I'm not affiliated with them, but that's how I got it. And I was impressed with all the little stuff that you just as a person who owns a coach, these simple little things, you see them on Facebook all the time. Like, this isn't happening, that isn't happening. I can't get, you know, my gas isn't working on my furnace or something, right? And they're always so simple. And they'll show you how to test these. They'll show you how to test it. They'll show you how to, like, test all these other, there's a heat sensor up there. They'll show you how to do all this stuff. Save yourself a lot of money. Just that one course. It's only a few $100s. You're going to spend that right off the rip with a tech coming out here and diagnosing something. At least if you go this route and you try it and you go, okay, I tested this, I tested that, I tested, I can't figure it out. Well, hey, you may have to get a tech out there to help you out. But chances are you're going to save yourself a lot of money, because it's just like these little things. 99% of the time the compressor generally doesn't poop out unless you have a bad line and it's run dry or something. But those will run pretty much all the time. It's usually due to a bad capacitor. So one of the things I learned was that they can get weak. So they may have a big punch. That's what the whole idea is, a punch to get everything going. And over time, instead of having a big punch, they get a little punch and a little punch and just a tag, and that strains it out. So it's not like they either work or don't work. They actually can go drop down, right? And the problem with that is it will put a strain on the motor. So, you know, those are things you want to, and they'll teach you about batteries, and I recommend you all go look at it myself. Like I said, I learned a lot already, and again, I'm not normally a tech, but I just got frustrated with techs because I think they're insultingly, how you repeat that, insultingly expensive to come out here. And to me, they just exploit people's, you know, because they're in a jam. They don't know anything about it. And if you're able-bodied and you can get up here with a multimeter isn't hard to use. They'll show you how to use that too. So you can learn all this stuff because you can get all, even your outlets, just different things, batteries especially. You'd be surprised how much trouble you can run into just with bad batteries. Like, that is not a joke. If your batteries aren't staying up, you'd be surprised. So I highly recommend it. Like I said, I got the course. If I get a chance, I'll see if I can find something on it and post it. But you know, I'm not trying to promo it. I have nothing to do with them at all. But you can go see the course if you like. It'll just come out a lot cleaner. I think you're going to get every little bit out of there. So I scrubbed it down twice. So we're going to put that in. Then I'm going to take this apart here, see if I can get that cover off. There's a couple of screws so I can get at that evaporator. That's one thing I wanted to show you. I don't know if you can see it in there. There's a twig. See that twig right in there? Piece of pine. Looks like a pine needle. Now look at here. Look at all this. They get all that stuff out of there. Got a bee's nest in there. You want to get all this crap out. So I'm just going to loosen it up, but I have to take the fan off. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to reach in there with the brush. I got enough room. So you don't have to go crazy like that. But I do want to get it all clean. Probably going to drill a couple of holes here to get this to drain better. Or maybe make a slot back here. Because you don't want all that collecting there. That's not good. Can you see all that debris in there? That's what I did. I just loosened up a screw here. That's all. It just sits in there. And again, you just be careful. You know. But there's a whole bunch of scum in there. This is just a cushion so when the thing bounces, it's not going to jam on there. That's all that is. But I got to clean all that out. Alright, so here's our skylight. Got it all together. This side's going to be a fan right there. A fancy dancy welding gun. And all this is all welded. All of this. You don't put any self-leveling on any of it. So we're going to get this welded down in here. And that's going to be an intake. So you can see we wrapped it all up. When the lens breaks, because it probably will at some point, when it does, I don't want it getting back into the roof. So we clad it all with aluminum like this. And these little screens right here I put on there, just in case something ever happened, that you don't get bees and wasps or anything in there. But then I put this bead of caulking on here, so if the lens cracks here, it would hit and drool down and around versus trying to get in, right? That's the whole idea to it. Basically, we're just diverting water so it goes down into the shower. So that's why we clad it all out, and that's why we caulked everything all around it. So now you got your inner lens, you got your outer lens. There's a big gap in here, and it basically turns into an oven in the summertime. In the wintertime, you'll have some frost or maybe some dew on the lens. And here's the lens. Ta-da! So you'll have some frost on here and some dew on there. When the sun comes up, the sun's going to evaporate that off. When it evaporates it off, not only do you have frost and everything here, you'll have it up inside here. So now, when the sun evaporates that, what's up underneath, it drools down and it gets into the deck. A lot of people have issues with their skylights that are leaking, and what they do is what it's happened is the water's running down from the inside, gets up underneath here, and it rots out like the roof deck. Now the screws aren't holding, so they just keep going around with more self-leveling. It's a dog chasing its tail. So in the summertime, these things get so hot, it's literally like an oven in there. There's no air, it just heats up. And people will often put like pillows and things on the inside, up in the inside, to keep the heat out. So this is going to keep it cool. So it'll pull the air from here, and then when it pulls it, slide this here, it's going to come up over, come back down, and that's going to be a solar fan. So you don't have to monitor this, right? So it's just going to come on when the sun comes up to evaporate this out. that's what fan's going to kick on. It's automatically doing its job. It's easy peasy. So it's just something else that we do. And you look at all these little extras that we do to make sure you don't have any trouble with your coach. There's nobody who goes to the lengths that we do. I mean, literally, it takes me time to make these. Time to make these curbs. I make them for a reason, because they work. You know, we could easily just say forget it and just slap down a roof like everybody else and kick it out and put some glue on it, and you know, take your vent and just put some butyl on the back side of it and slap it down. The same with this here. Slap it all down. Go, hey, you're done. That's not the way you do a roof. These people get lazy. Everybody wants to get paid. They don't want to do the work. There's no pride in doing the work. And the RV industry has misled people in thinking that that's the right way to do a roof. If it was, well, everybody would be doing it, but it's not. So I'm the one out here crying that the sky is falling type thing, right? Because everybody wants your money. So we just want to do this one time, be done with it. All right, so that's our skylight. We're going to get all that put all together. I've got my air conditioners right there. I already showed you how we clean them. So we're going to put all them together, and we should be ready to go. Well, we're done with our Solitude. She's ready to go. I want to thank the customer for bringing this in and having us do the work. These folks here, this is their second unit. So this is the second roof we put on for them. We did the first one, and then they upgraded and got this. So we thank them for coming back. Let me go over some of the details here, if this is the first video you've watched. But we put these stamps on here. So one, when they come back for inspections, we just like to know how old the roof is, how is it performing. And also if they ever go to sell this or trade it up, like they did the last one. And then someone comes up and says, hey, you know, I'm going to have to put a roof on it or this or that. You go, wait a minute, it's still under warranty. So this roof particularly is a commercial grade membrane. That's what it is. It's a structured TPO membrane. Same exact membrane that you're going to find on a hotel, office building, library, restaurant. Same exact material. And that's why they say it's a structured membrane. A structured membrane is, you know, is really a strong membrane. You're not just going to cut this open. So it has a weave in it, and I'll show you a sample of it. Let's see if I got one right here. So if you, hopefully the light can get, but you can see those little squares, a little screen inside there. That's the mesh that gets built into the membrane. So you see some of these other companies that are bragging about lifetime, okay? We don't use those words because they're just ear ticklers. That's what they are. And if you really take the time to read their warranty says it's a lifetime of the coach. So, okay, what's the lifetime of a coach? You can go online and search it yourself, type it in, lifetime of an RV. It's going to tell you it's about 20, 25 years. This roof system right here, in particular, from the manufacturer, is a 20-year membrane that they base it off of on a commercial building sitting out in the weather day after day after day. Okay, all the elements hitting it. This particular membrane has also been tested. The other ones been tested? Don't know, but this one has. I've never found any testing materials for those spray or roll-on roofs. They just claim it. They just say, hey, yeah, it's your lifetime. I don't know who did the testing. But these type roof systems here, these are commercial grade, so they go through an accelerated testing on them. So they'll bombard it with UV light, they'll bombard it with hail, they'll bombard it with, you know, heat and cold and so forth, and they just push it to its extremes to see where it's going to last. That's how these membranes are tested. Okay, so this particular brand is Carlisle. So Carlisle is a big company. They make a whole bunch of them. They've been in business for about 100 years. I think they know a thing or two about roof systems. So, again, this is a 20-year roof system. Now, no membrane company, for that matter, no company, whether it be Dicor, any company, Alpha, nobody is going to warranty anything more than the actual material. What you're seeing, this tan, right? That's all they're going to warranty because they don't know who's installing it. And again, you can go verify and read these warranties yourself. They're pretty boring to read, but by the time you get it all down, you're going to be surprised to go, wow, I didn't realize that. A lot of people think they cover leaks. They don't. They don't know who's putting the roof on. They don't know what it's going on. They don't know the skill set of a person installing it. So they're not going to warranty labor for somebody they have no idea. That would be like you making the same product, you make it, and you have some guy comes and buys it, and you don't know who he is, and he puts it on, and it leaks, and now someone calls you out of the blue, and you go, hey, such and such put my roof on and it's leaking. They'd be like, we don't know such and such. What did he do? He probably messed it up. All right. So all that said, our warranty is real simple. We cover collateral damage, but you bring it back to us once a year, we'll inspect it for you for free. So those spray and roll-on companies, they'll say you don't have to bring it back to us. You don't have to do that. And again, read their warranty. Their warranty is going to say you need to have it inspected. Now ask yourself this question: do you know anything about polyurea spray coatings? Do you know anything about silicone roll-ons or TPO roll-ons or any of those coating or roof systems? Probably not. Do you know anything about air conditioners? Do you know how to verify whether your gasket up underneath there is failed, about to fail, compromised? Probably not. So how is that fair to pounce that kind of responsibility back to you, or to the owner of the coach, to do that when you don't know anything about it? Wouldn't it be smart for them to actually follow through and offer the inspections? That's what we do. That's why we say there's a no-touch roof. That means you don't have to touch it. We're not just going to bounce it back and go, hey, well, thanks for your money, see you, bye, come on back when you need to spend some more. We don't do that. Come on in, we'll do an inspection for you for free. We'll do even a walk around on some other stuff here. And obviously we'll check it. We show the customer how to do an inspection because they're not hard. But nonetheless, we still don't want someone to think that we just took their money and never ever need to see them come back. We're not that kind of company. That's why we don't have all these shops. Putting a roof on is actually, there's a lot to do with it than just putting a roof on. You can see all the work we did to this one. And this wasn't even a hard one, really. But you watch some of those other companies, not one have I ever seen has done a rebuild like we have. And it's just kind of peculiar to me because typically we probably put on maybe 50 roofs a year. It's not a lot. And these other companies are bragging about putting on thousands of roofs a year. Why is it my shop is always having to do some sort of repair, some sort of structural rebuild on stuff? That seemed a little odd. They did 4,000, they don't have one rebuild, not one roof seal and rebuild. And, it's a problem, it's a concern, and we've done quite a few of them. But that's just really weird. Again, I give all this information out because, again, we're a totally different company here. You want to do this, you want to do it right, you want to do it the first time, be done with it, and you don't want to mess with it, this is what you want to do. If there was an easier way to do this roof, I would definitely do it. But I want it to be done easier for longevity, meaning you're going to get what you pay for in a sense, right? You don't want to have to hassle with it. So all that said, when we did commercial work, we had recovery systems, and that's what the spray roofs are. That's what the roll-on roofs are. Those are considered recovery. They're not considered a roof system, meaning that any new building, any new structure, right, flat roof structure, when it gets designed, it will not be spec'd out to have a polyurea roof sprayed on it. It will not be spec'd out to have a roll-on coating put on it as the main roof. Not going to happen. That roof is always going to be a membrane of some sort. Maybe possibly if someone still wants to be doing tar and gravel, but that's another deal. But my point is that polyurea is a coating. All those other ones are just coatings. So, all right, now you got all that info. We got this in 3 colors right here. Tan is what we got on the roof now, white and gray. This had a white roof on it, and then you can see we got that coach over there. That's white. And but from the shop, I didn't know, is that really a light off-white, or is it, by the time we did it, the tan looks awesome on it, so that's why we did it. So everything you see here, you don't have to do any self-leveling. So we'll try and answer a few questions that some folks have, like the air conditioner. Can a tech replace it, work on it, and put it back? No problem. No problem. So what we did is I designed these curbs. These curbs elevate the air conditioner, which keeps the gasket up off the roof line. That's the way a flat roof functions. You have to have it up off the roof line. Those gaskets will dry out. When they dry out, then they start failing. The issue with them is that you're not going to know that it failed. It's going to be chronic. It's going to be real small. So a lot of these gaskets are, trying to see if I have one. I'm looking around. Yeah, I see one back there. A lot of these gaskets, the way they're designed is they're 4 pieces all glued together. And those 4 pieces, when they start falling apart, you get dirt, debris. I don't know if you can see the angle of this roof in particular. Now this roof kind of goes up like this a little bit and then balances out. All that water is going to come on down and it's going to sit over here if you have just the gasket sitting down, like no curb, just sitting there on top of the gasket. So all of the debris, all the pollen, all the dirt, the dust, it dries those gaskets out. And when it dries it out, is going to cause that gasket to fail, which will start, water is going to come in the coach. I have heard some of these people say, and I bring this up to when I see these, Flex Armors, they've haunted my page, and, so are the other ones. And I bring that out, and they say, no, what we do is we spray the hole. What does spraying a hole? What does spraying a hole? How is that going to prevent water from getting in? It's a hole. Water is going to get in there. Where's it going to go? It's going to go down into your coach. It's going to get into the ceiling. And if it's a wood frame, it's going to get into the framing. It's going to get into the insulation. It's going to get down into your ceiling. If it's a ply foam roof, ply foam would be, a roof deck foam and then the ceiling. That's ply foam. Once that water gets in there, that is drastic because it holds that water. It will never, ever dry out unless you open it up and literally dry it out. We have done a lot of ply foam rebuilds because of that. Actually, we have one that, what is it? It's a, now it's slipping my mind. We just finished it too. Jayco, that's what it is. It's a Jayco designer. Had a ply foam roof. It was so bad we had to literally rebuild the whole thing because the foam we could not get dried out. So what that's going to do is cause mold, and you're going to have all that mildewy, punky smell in there, and it's just going to be gross. But these are the things that these other shops are kicking. They're kicking the can down the road. They don't want to address it because they're making money off the roof. So they'll go, well, that's a ceiling issue. That has nothing to do with us. Well, what? Are you serious? I mean, you got water in the roof. In the roof assembly, you need that fixed, you need that corrected, and that's the stuff that we do. That's what we specialize in. So and again, all of these are all heat welded. So you get that curb right there. That's all heat welded in around the boots, all heat welded, heat welded. You don't have to do any more self leveling. It is done. So I want to get this gasket real quick. I'm going to get this gasket, and I'm going to show you what this gasket is like. So we got the AC right here, sitting up on a curb. Now again, when the water comes in, all of my curbs are all built with what's known as a counter flash. There's another piece to prevent it from jumping up onto the curb. When water comes down, it gets redirected around the curb. That's how a curb functions. That's the purpose of it. It just removes that erosion effect. So this other one right here that you're looking at, this one, that's an important piece because now when the water comes down here and you're driving in the rain, I don't want that water to get blown back into that gasket. So that protects that gasket. That water will drip down below the counter flash of the curb and it'll roll out. That's the whole idea. So here are your gaskets. You can see some of these gaskets right here. These are all glued together. Okay, so you can see like right here how it's glued together. You can see how they're starting to come apart. There's all four of them all glued together. That's where you're going to get your leaks. So it's going to be chronic. You're going to get this thing to fail a little bit. You're not going to know it. It's going to be so minute. You're not going to know it until you know it. So that water is going to get in and rot out a roof deck and rot out, you get in your insulation, everything else. Here's another one over here. Same thing, right? Same thing. See, they're all glued together, right? They're all glued together. And all it takes is for a little bit of failure. Somebody tried to glue this. Someone tried to put caulking on there to rescue it. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. It's not good for it anyways. A lot of those caulks are going to eat this gasket. There's another one. So again, I like to give everybody all this information. Maybe I'll see this a little better in the light. See that split right there? There's another one here. Look at, and also you can see how thin it gets from here. Okay. So it's kind of distorted, right? So, that's a concern right there. So again, these companies are going to tell you to have to inspect that gasket. Again, I just don't think it's fair. So I'll go around the other way. We already showed you most of it. There's a 60 mil commercial grade TPO membrane. Not only do we take the customer out of an RV grade, thin 25, 28 mil roughly. The entry level to commercial is 45. So we took them from a 45 into a 60 mil. So we already upped it one size even on a commercial end. So this is the curb right here. Everything is all heat welded. So it's like welding two pieces of metal together. You're not getting this apart. This is the counter flash that I'm talking about. So when water comes down the roof, whichever way it's coming, but it's going to hit here, right? Even if it wanted to try to run up, it cannot jump. Water would have to pour up like this high to get there. It's going to get redirected. That's what saves everything. So I already showed you everything about the skylight, explained all that, but now you can see the finish. That one's a plumbing and an intake rather, and then the other one is the fan. So we're gonna get that. That'll kick on and draw the air. That's what it does. So you see we got the two legs in the back like we do on that one. Same. This is the same air conditioner and the same model and everything. All right, and then we have the counter flash up front. So we replaced all the insert trim, all the caulking you see around here. This is all 2 layers. We do 2 applications of it. And the reason why we do 2 layers, if you've ever operated a caulking gun, you'll hear it crack and pop, maybe crackle. And what you did is injected an air bubble. It doesn't matter the brand. It doesn't matter how much you spent on it. This is really good stuff. Right here, there's all commercial grade. Nothing we use is RV grade at all. This is entirely a commercial roof. So that said, it's still dispensed. The caulking is still dispensed in the container the same way as a cheap brand. It goes down through and dispensed, right? So there's air in it. So my thought is that these things rack and twist a little bit, and if I have one strike on there, chances are if that air pocket breaches, I may possibly have a leak. I don't know, but I don't want to chance it, so we put another one on top of it. What are the chances of having one air pocket land on top of another? Probably slim to none. So that's why we do the 2 strikes on it. So all the screws up underneath here, I don't know if I already showed you that, but every single screw, if I pop that out, maybe better off doing it down here to show you. But every one of these screws, they're all sealed. And something else we did back here, they're all sealed. We got, every screw is sealed. Every single screw. So you can see this here, this insert trim. See the groove in it? That's why it sits the way it does. It gets up inside that track, and then it keeps the water, not only is it inside, it's outside, so the water is going to get forced to not get inside there. So compared to the traditional RV stuff, this is the RV stuff right here, see? So water can get down inside that track right there. But the way ours is, it locks it out, so it keeps all extra moisture out, right? You don't want to have any of that in there. So that's why we do that. The other thing that I didn't like is they had one piece of metal that ran all the way across. It was a corner piece. And now the water comes down and it's hitting on there. I want the water off the roof, but even when it came over that corner piece, it would run all the way down the windows, lights, everything else. So what we did was put a gutter on here. So all the water now is going to come down to that gutter. We got to get that screwed back in. You're probably looking at that going, hey, to put the lights on. The guy told me he had it all clean, but that's okay. We're going to get the lights, though. We're not going to let it roll like that. But that's the purpose of the gutter. And we also put the spouts on there to kick it off, right? So I want to keep as much water off of this thing as I can. So we go the extra mile to make sure all these little things that we see when we do these roofs that cause these failures, like the broken ductwork, I don't see any of these roll-on and spray-on companies taking care of that issue. Now you're going to have air conditioning issues, and you got to understand heat flows hot to cold. You got a hot roof, it's going to go in those holes, and now your cold is not going to be as cold as it could be. All of the heat that comes up from the cabin, because it's hot, right? It's going through the ceiling, and it's going to go up and hit the bottom of that duct. That's why we insulate it up underneath the duct with that blown-in insulation, you see. So we do all these things on purpose. We want to make sure they don't have any issues. It'll keep things running better. You're going to get better performance out of it. So again, I don't see any of these other companies doing it. Most of their videos are just maybe a few minutes long. A lot of them are, what do they call them, time-lapsed. They don't want you to see what they're doing. They're not showing you anything. And people just get, I don't know what you call it, it's satisfying to watch spray go on. Woo, it's going on, wow. So it's again, they're just selling product. So the way these are, getting back to anybody can work on these, anybody can work on this air conditioner, pull it off, put it back together. The way it's all assembled, all of the plenum and everything has already been corrected for the air conditioner. And the tech will know that. It's mounted the same exact way that it was when we took it off. So there's no issue there. Your skylight, for instance, up here, and even your vent. So if your vent fails on a spray or roll-on, you got to tear up all of their product. And I'll take that back. It depends on what it is. If you have one of these, like a Max Air or something that has a flange on the bottom and then the actual unit sits on top, Sometimes if your fan fails, you can just replace the fan and not have to interrupt that flange. That's a plus. But that's just on that particular model. But like this is not one. That's not a Max Air or a Fantastic fan. So if something had to be done, and again, there's a spray roll-on, you turn up all of their product, and then you're going to have to reinstall it, and you're going to have to go back to them. They're not giving you any product. They're not going to give you anything because that's proprietary to them. You're not getting product from them to do that small repair yourself. You'll have to go back to them. On ours, anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. Matter of fact, we leave folks with a care package. You'll see that at the end of the video. And if they had to do something, want to go around their windows or whatever, we give them the same materials that we use. It's no big secret. This is all commercial stuff that you can find anywhere. So what we did is I just designed these curbs to fit and function properly for an RV. So your skylight, same thing. If you had an issue with your skylight that's cracked, right, that's compromised, then you're going to have to tear up all their product, right? And then you go back to them. Same thing with these air conditioners. The air conditioners, when that fails and rots out your roof deck, that is not covered under your warranty for a spray or roll-on. And again, go read the actual warranty. Don't go by the brochure. Don't go by their jazzy website. Read the actual full warranty that you're going to get when and if you did a spray on roof. And you'll see what I'm talking about because I've read them all. So I'm not saying anything that isn't available. What I'm doing is giving everybody proper information so they can make a sound decision on who they want to do their roof. So I'm not bashing any one person. I'm just telling you the way the system is and why it's not something we would use and why we're into this instead of doing a spray roof. So, and again, that's all it is. It's all information. And you can see by our videos what we do, how we do, and so on and so forth. So other than that, I think we covered everything on there. And then we don't quote on social media. If you got any questions, just give us a call. We're pretty good at picking up the phone. We're pretty good at trying to return phone calls. We get busy here, but here's all our info right here. You can give us a call there. We can go to our website, whichever you want to do. You can check out some of our stuff if you like. And I don't know if you're watching this on Facebook, but we do have a Facebook. Obviously, we've got a that we post some videos on. But really, the videos are going to bounce you back to our YouTube channel where we can post these full-length videos. And we also do have a TikTok page, and I just put some small stuff up on there. I'm not good at posting all this stuff. I'm not good at social media. So I just don't really have that kind of time to sit there and edit videos, you know. I don't know. I'm just not into that algorithm, all those followers and clicks and all that stuff. I don't make any money off of any of the platforms we do. So I give all this information out so people can make their own sound decision. And then one of the other things that I've always come across, these ladders. When you step on these ladders, these little supports right here, they start to sag down. And what they'll do is they'll start compromising that base, that mount base that goes to the wall, and you can start getting leaks. And I'm going to see if I can show it to you. I have to move back. So what we did, see if I can get in there. See if it'll show up. It's black. I don't know if you can see that, but we put a leg on the bottom. We put a leg on the bottom, so now when you step on the ladder, there's a little leg up underneath where it returns back in, and then it prevents the ladder from wobbling. I've showed it on a couple other videos. I'll just get down and show you. It's probably easier. So, all right, here's your ladder. See? So we put those mounts right there. You know, this is just the stuff that we do. We want to make sure so now the owner doesn't have to worry about. The other thing we did is we took the ladder apart. Inside here are some little tiny, what they call insert nuts. They're actually called star nuts, and they can get rusty. So we take all these apart and check them. Every one of them, we check all these, make sure everything's all tight, that they're not rusty. Last thing I want is a customer to go, hey, wow, I like my new roof. I'm going to go up there and take a look at it, and steps on it, and the thing tears out and falls apart on them. So then, like I said, we put this on here. So now all the weight's going to this, if you want to call it a bumper, it's really just a slinky tube. But it's going to have enough strength to carry somebody going up and down, that's for sure. So these are really just to prevent it from coming out this way. That's really what they're for. But if you don't do it, then these will start kind of wobbling, which lets water inside this little piece right here. And when water gets in there, then it starts getting behind the wall. Now you got wall rot. So again, these are some of the stuff that we look at. If it's something we can do real quick and easy, you know, to get done, problematic things that we run across, we probably save this guy from a wall, you know, so you know, down the road. All right, well, thanks for watching. Like I said, we'll catch up with you on the next one. Right. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch, peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, and we'll simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof. It's leaking. So what you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? No. Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. We're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers, fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably use some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Hey, there it is. Now you got the film. We take that film. So now we're going to line it back up like this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of, there's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here, this part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this, because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch, and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.